Maybe not the crowd favorite, but definitely one of, if not the greatest of all time, Novak Djokovic has made his appearance in the ATP Masters 1000 Rome Open after 3 weeks of being away from the tour. The return of the Djoker Nole was highly anticipated. Many fans, including myself, wanted to see what he got in store for young superstars that are on a definite rise. But many questions loomed around his return. Can he still perform at a high enough level to shut down the rising talents? What is the extent of the troubles that his past injuries, and just how are they influencing his game? What do you think? Does he still have what it takes? Do you want to know what it is that troubles him? Let's find out. It's safe to say that Djokovic has had his fair share of injuries throughout his career, some being more serious than others, but the most unsettling fact is their reoccurrence in the past few weeks. From a left shoulder injury in 2019 to a right elbow injury that required surgical procedures in order to be resolved back in February of 2018, pulled hamstrings, and some other minor inconveniences, one could even say Novak went through them all. But you must be thinking to yourself, no world-class athlete has gone uninjured. And that's right, but the thing is, it just keeps happening to him again and again. Nole has been wearing strapping on his elbow in the previous tournaments in Monte Carlos, Banja Luka, and also now in Rome. That elbow, which was previously operated on, seems to be giving him the most trouble. But as he stated, he put it on because it was cold during his opening match in Rome. Do you think that's true, or is he trying to cover up the extent of the injury? We cannot be certain, but time will tell, especially with the French Open coming up very soon. We've sadly had to watch one of the GOATs of tennis, the Swiss maestro Roger Federer, succumb to reoccurring injuries. What was once the big three is now the big two, but with Rafael Nadal withdrawing from his beloved Roland Garros, the pressure on Djokovic is certainly high. Does the same fate await him as well? Since the three of them dominated the ATP Tour for the longest time, the question remains, once their time has passed, who will carry on their legacy? Will there ever be an era of tennis such as the era of the big three? But now, let's not get carried away just yet, and let us dive deeper into Novak's performance in Rome. Nole's opening match was in the second round against an Argentinian player named Thomas Martin Echeverry. This was their first encounter, as well as Djokovic's first match on the tour in a couple of weeks. The suspense wasn't at an all-time high, but it was definitely there. Fans were keen on seeing if their idol is back in shape. The match started off in far from the greatest fashion, with Novak losing his service game right at the start. It wasn't a good sign. But Nole being Nole, he managed to keep his cool and he got into his groove. It was a match filled with superb rallies and some very exciting points, especially in the first set. Djokovic was barely able to turn it into his favour in the tiebreak, with the score being 7-6. He was able to keep the built-up momentum into the second set, ultimately winning it with the final score being 7-6, 6-2. However, it wasn't the super convincing start that fans were looking for. The next obstacle on his path was a very well-established figure in the tennis world, the Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov. The stage was set for their 12th encounter, with Djokovic having a 10-1 winning score against Grigor. The Serb had passed the challenge of the first set with flying colours, winning it convincingly 6-3. It was a very nice display of his ability to simply outplay his opponents. He just kept his game on a great level, was a setup and a breakup in the second set, but suddenly a shift in the momentum occurred when Dimitrov started hitting some amazing shots. This resulted in the Bulgarian winning the second set 6-4. However, the trend did not continue for Grigor in the final set as he lost his service game with a double fault. Djokovic put it into fifth gear and resorted to outplaying his opponent. He went 3 breaks up, which ultimately led to him winning the match 6-3, 4-6, 6-1. But the match was a spectacle as both players were very fired up and the crowd was loving it. What were your thoughts on his game after the match? At this moment, I thought that things were falling into place for the Djoker. His next challenge in Rome was the in-form Cameron Norrie. They were set to face each other for the third time, and how unexpected, Novak had a 2-0 winning score against Norrie. Nole opened up the match by breaking his opponent right away, which was a great sign of things to come. The first set was a great display of skill by the tennis mastermind. He was simply much better than Norrie and managed to turn the first set in his favour 6-3. Djokovic has shown moments of both offense and defense greatness, and it was incredible to watch. But Norrie made a mistake in the third game of the second set. He made Novak mad after hitting him with a very powerful smash. The follow-up split-second apology didn't please Djokovic, so he decided to show Norrie how they're best in the game. After a great battle in the second set at the score of 4-4, the Djoker took away Norrie's service game and confirmed it in the next game, which led him to win the match with the final score being 6-3, 6-4. Another match where he was able to outclass his opponent. Don't you agree? This was a win that granted him a monumental achievement of 17 consecutive years of reaching quarterfinals or better in the Italian capital of Rome. Isn't that just legendary? But now, let's get back into what was next to come. A prodigy from Muratoglu Academy, a 20-year-old Danish youngster Holger Rune. The Dane started off the match in incredible fashion and was firing on all cylinders. He managed to take away Novak's serve twice in a row, which left Nole wondering what was happening as he had a worried look on his face. The superb shot selection paired with the great power of the Dane's shots was just too much for Djokovic in the first set, which ended 6-2. We were all aware of him not being in the greatest of form, but it was quite shocking to see the Serb being so outplayed at that time. However, the tide had turned in the second set when the score was 3-2 in favor of Djokovic. Rune stopped the point because the ball was out, but it wasn't called as such, and so the chair umpire went on to say the ball was actually in. This is when Holger lost his cool and reacted in a very surprising fashion, and since that point he lost his focus that caused him to miss a sitter of a smash, ultimately leading to him losing the second set 4-6. Do you think Rune was sabotaged in a way after that wrong line call? Whether or not that was the case, it definitely caused a shift in momentum as Djokovic started showing his first signs of positive body language since the beginning of the match. However, in just the first game of the deciding set, Holger showed incredible mental toughness as he took away Novak's service game, setting himself up for success. But you can never rule the Djoker out, am I right? Or so we thought, as he went on a game-losing streak that granted the young Dane a 4-love lead in the last set. But we cannot say that the match wasn't an exciting one. It was perplexed, with an incredible showing of athleticism and pure tennis mastery from both. Ultimately, Patrick Muratoglu's future superstar Holger Rune managed to pull through and win the match, with the final score being 6-2, 4-6, 6-2. Undeniably, the Dane played some amazing tennis, but it was obvious that something was wrong with Djokovic. The 35-year-old didn't look to be in his best physical shape early on and sought a trainer after holding a 2-1 lead in the second set. It wasn't immediately clear what was wrong, but it appeared like Djokovic consumed a tablet given to him by his trainer. Is there a reason for his fans to worry? Or is it something that he'll just overcome just as he did before? What do you think? Holger Rune stated after the win, "It's a big win for me and every match is a huge challenge for me when I play Novak, as he is obviously one of the greatest that ever played the game," regarding his second consecutive win over Novak Djokovic. Accordingly, Novak himself had a few words to say about the young Dane. "He was just better. He played too good for me for the most part of the match," Djokovic said. "He kept his nerves and deserved to win." Could it be that Novak is saving up all his energy for the Roland Garros? Or is he just having trouble getting into his rhythm? We know that Djokovic tends to take his time to get into the best shape during the clay court season, but the worrying thing is the fact that he's staying silent. After his loss to Rune, a news report asked him a pretty weird question that seemed to have caught him off guard. When he's asked if he's still confident about the upcoming French Open, he simply replied with a yes. Despite the unconventional question, his answer wasn't all that convincing. With Nole admitting that his physical shape isn't at 100%, what do you think? Does he still have what it takes? Throughout most of his career, he was the quote-unquote newcomer and was the one to set up the biggest names in tennis. But perhaps now the tables have turned and the pressure of maintaining his name and glory gets to him much more than it did in the past. Possible, isn't it? However, if Djokovic has proven anything to the world, he's proven that he's extremely resilient. You can never rule the Joker out. Just when you think he's got nothing left in the tank, he always seems to prove to his fans that he indeed does. Aren't we all excited to see him perform in the upcoming French Open? I always like my chances in Grand Slams against anybody on any surface. Best of 5. Sounds about right, doesn't it? What the future holds, we cannot be certain, but Novak is a fighter and will definitely put on a spectacle. What are your thoughts on this year's Roland Garros? Who do you think is the best contender for winning the title? If you're interested in why this situation could be getting out of Novak's grasp, check this video out.